You never forget the smell of burning wood mixed with blood. That smell clung to me for weeks after that night in northern Vermont. The night I swore I'd never go back to Miller's cabin. I'm only alive because I ran. The others, they weren't as lucky. If you're watching this, you probably like hearing true horror stories. But this isn't just another campfire tale. I lived this, and I wish to God I could forget it. It happened 2 winters ago near the border of Quebec, when my friends and I rented out a supposedly off-grid cabin in a place called Norton Hollow, just outside Island Pond, Vermont. The listing made it sound like a rustic getaway. No cell service, no neighbors, just peace and quiet in the forest. We thought it would be fun. Instead, it became the last night I ever spent with 3 of my closest friends. There were 4 of us: me, Jake, my buddy Evan, his girlfriend Marissa, and my cousin Tyler. We'd all been stressed with work and school, so when Evan found the cabin on an old rental site, we jumped at the chance. The drive up was long. We left St. John, New Brunswick early, crossed into Maine, and by nightfall we were cutting through the back roads of Vermont. By the time we reached Norton Hollow, it was close to 10 p.m. The road leading up to Miller's cabin was barely wide enough for Evan's SUV. Trees leaned in on both sides, their bare branches scraping across the roof as if trying to hold us back. When we finally pulled up, the cabin looked wrong. It wasn't the cute log retreat we expected. The wood was gray, weather-beaten, the porch sagged, and the windows were covered with plywood except for one on the second floor that glowed faintly from within.
"I thought this place was supposed to be empty," Marissa said.
"Probably just a reflection," Evan shrugged, but I felt my stomach tighten. Inside, the cabin smelled of mildew and something sour, like meat gone bad. There was dust everywhere, but also, strangely, fresh boot prints on the wooden floor. We tried to laugh it off, made a fire in the old stone fireplace and cracked open some beers. For a while, it almost felt normal, until we heard the first sound. A knock, slow, heavy, coming from upstairs. Tyler, always the skeptic, grabbed a flashlight. "Probably a raccoon. I'll check it out." I didn't want him to go, but he was already climbing the stairs. His light bobbed against the ceiling as he disappeared into the second floor. We waited and waited. Finally, he called down, "Guys, you need to see this." We went up one by one and found Tyler standing in a narrow hallway. The plywood on one of the bedroom doors had been ripped away, jagged nails sticking out. Inside the room, the walls were covered in carvings. Names, hundreds of them, scratched deep into the wood with something sharp. At first I thought they were random, but then I saw one that made my blood run cold. Miller, 1978. The name matched the cabin's listing, but below it were dozens more, spanning decades. Some were followed by dates, some had only the first name, some were crossed out.
"Jesus," Marissa whispered. "What the hell is this?"
That's when the upstairs window slammed shut on its own. The flashlight flickered. The temperature dropped so fast I could see my breath. We didn't even argue. We bolted back downstairs. Evan grabbed the keys. "We're leaving. Screw this." But when we got outside, the SUV wouldn't start. The engine coughed, sputtered, then died. He tried again and again, panic rising in his voice, but it was useless. "Try your phone," he told me. I already knew it wouldn't work. No service. That's when we heard it. From the woods. Voices. At first it sounded like one person whispering, then another, then dozens. Words I couldn't understand, circling us, echoing between the trees. Marissa clutched my arm. "We need to go back inside." And against every instinct in my body, we did. The fire had almost burned out, though none of us had touched it. The cabin felt darker,
heavier, like the shadows had thickened in the corners. We huddled together, arguing about what to do. Tyler swore he saw movement outside the window. Evan was pacing, muttering about fuel injectors and dead batteries, but his hands were shaking. Then came the scream, high-pitched, female. It sounded like it came from inside the cabin, but when we searched, there was no one there. Just that smell again, rot and copper, stronger now. We went back to the main room, and that's when we saw the door, the basement door. It was open. Evan said we should check it out, see if someone was messing with us. Against my better judgment, we followed. The basement stairs creaked under our weight. The air grew colder with every step, thick with mold and something fouler beneath it. When my flashlight beam swept across the floor, I froze. There were shoes, piles of them. Men's boots, women's heels, children's sneakers. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Some new, some rotting, as if they'd been there for decades. Marissa gagged. Tyler whispered, "Oh God." In the far corner of the basement, something moved. A figure, pale, too thin. Its face hidden in the shadows. My light caught its eyes, completely black. It smiled. We bolted up the stairs, slamming the basement door behind us. Evan jammed a chair under the handle, but the pounding started immediately. Slow at first, then violent, rattling the hinges. We backed away, all of us shouting over each other, and that's when the window shattered. Something came through, fast, pale, inhuman. It hit Tyler first. He didn't even scream. He just went down under it, his body jerking as blood sprayed the floorboards. Marissa shrieked. Evan grabbed the fireplace poker and swung, connecting with a sickening crack. The thing stumbled back, hissing like steam. But there were more. Hands clawed through the broken glass, faces pressed against the window, mouths too wide, teeth too many. We were surrounded. I don't remember making the decision. One second I was frozen, the next I was yanking Marissa toward the door. "Run!" I screamed. We barreled outside into the snow. The forest loomed on all sides, black and endless. But it was better than staying in that cabin. Behind us, Evan was still fighting. I heard him yell, heard the crash of wood, then a sound that wasn't human. A wet, tearing noise that made me want to vomit. I didn't look back. Marissa and I stumbled through the trees, branches whipping our faces, snow sucking at our boots. The voices followed, sometimes close, sometimes far, always whispering. At one point, Marissa tripped. I grabbed her hand, but something grabbed her other arm. She screamed as she was pulled backward into the dark. Her nails raked bloody lines across my wrist as she was ripped away from me. Her scream cut off suddenly, and then there was silence. I ran. I don't remember how long I ran. Hours, maybe. The trees seemed endless, twisting in ways that made no sense. I was sure I'd die out there. But then, lights. Headlights. A plow truck on a back road. I stumbled out in front of it, nearly getting hit. The driver slammed on the brakes, jumped out and grabbed me. I don't remember what I said to him. I don't remember getting to the hospital in Newport, but I remember the look on the police officer's face when I told him what happened at Miller's cabin. He went pale, and then he said, "That place burned down in 1983, with the Millers still inside. They never found my friends, not a trace, not a drop of blood, not a shoe, nothing. Just gone. But sometimes, at night, I dream of them. Tyler, Evan, Marissa. They're standing in the trees, smiling too wide, eyes black as coal. And I know one thing with certainty. Miller's cabin is still out there, waiting for the next set of names to carve into its walls. If you were in my place, if you barely escaped while your friends didn't, would you go back to Miller's cabin to try to bring them peace?
Or would you leave that cursed place buried in the woods forever? Tell me what you would do in the comments.